Good morning, everyone. My name is Kimberlie Wright. Welcome to Hand Built Pottery. Today is, what is today? Must be the
Friday the 2nd.
The July the 2nd, yes. Thank you so much. Today is July 2nd, 2021. Today is our demonstration, demo day, Friday. And we spoke yesterday about creating beads. So that's what I'm going to work on with you all today. Thanks for being patient. I was taking a couple of extra minutes getting all of my supplies and everything ready for you all. All right. So the first thing we want to do is just talk about what we're actually working with. All right. These are called bead racks. As you can see, these are bead racks, and sorry, give me a second. These are bead wires. And I'm going to turn my camera. And when you fire these in the kiln, and they have all sorts of different styles and shapes of bead racks. So you can put them as far apart as you need, as however the bead wires will go. And once you place your beads on the wires, you place the beads here on the racks to fire in the kiln. So they are made where they can withstand the heat in the kiln, and you can also put some on the opposite side, as you can see. And also they have different bead racks. Like this is one that can be used for beads. As you can see, I'm bending this. Today I'm gonna kind of curve that particular piece for a particular bead that I'm making. So I'm gently just curving it, although I should have on some gloves or something, bending that just in case anything happens, you can protect your hands. All right. Also,
Kim, I have a question.
Yes.
On that rack, can you put multiple beads? That one is up front. Yeah, that one.
This particular one, you can add 2 more. Oh, yes, you can put multiple beads on the, actual wire, but 2 more wire. 4 wires fit inside this one, as you can see the holes.
So when you put them on that rack, and put them in the kiln, they won't get stuck together?
Well, they can't be touching. So okay. Yeah, they can't be touching.
Okay.
All right. So you also have this particular kind right here that you can put the wires across like so and have the beads hang there in the center. And also, if you have kiln posts, the actual beams that hold the plates up in the kiln, you can use these as well. All you have to do is have them sitting there like that and just sit your beads on like your kiln, your bead wires on like so. So there are a variety of ways that you can fire the beads, but we're gonna just move on from there. And so let me move all of this to the side because I need as much surface space as I can stand. All right. With bead making, you want to have several tools that you think will be helpful in making your designs and everything. First thing we're going to do is grab some clay. As you can see, I'm tossing it on the counter there. And hopefully you can see, yeah. So the first thing we're gonna do is reconstitute this clay by rolling rolling a long coil. You don't want your coil to be so thin that when you put the bead wire through there that it bursts or busts a hole through the sides. So I'm just gonna work all of this together. And depending on the time, I'm gonna attempt to make several beads today, just to give you an idea of the styles of beads that you can make. And so even though this is done virtually, I do plan on doing some more bead demos in the classroom setting for when we return. I like to just squeeze the clay so as to make a log, an even log, to do like most of the work first. And what I'm gonna do is basically just break this in half. Half is gonna be for our more rounded beads, and half will be for the more tubular beads. So once again, I want to just gently squeeze my hands and feel the clay and make the clay into a log shape. Same thing, keeping the end solid and everything going on ahead. And I'm gonna wash my hands once I roll this coil down. All right, so. All right, so you gently want to roll the clay away from you, back and forth, gently pressing until you get a smooth surface on the coil, but continue to roll down until you get the desired thickness that you like. You can use one hand or two hands, gently making pressure to keep it round. If you get a portion that's turning square, then you just want to gently press that back out with your fingers, make it round, and continue to roll. So gently roll. That's why I said I needed space, because as you roll the coil, it will stretch out. And I like to roll my coil about a half of inch thick in diameter. About a half an inch thick in diameter. Just try to make sure that you get the coil the same thickness going down the entire piece. And even some people may not find that rolling coils is that easy, but you can do it. All right. So for right now, I'm gonna just go ahead and make some beads, because this coil is so long that we may be able to just use that coil for all the beads. And this particular piece of clay, I'm just gonna sit to the side and spread so that it will stay moist in case I need it. I'm just gonna roll this coil just a bit more. And I'm gonna take the camera back so that you can see how long it is. I'll be finished with this in just a few seconds. I'm just making sure, feeling down the length of the coil, that it feels the same thickness. All right, I think that's pretty good. I'm gonna just rinse my hands really quick so that I can produce smoother and cleaner beads. Drying my hands. And I also want to have some type of a grid or a cutting board that has like measurements and grids on it, or you can even use a ruler. It doesn't have to be a long ruler, but I prefer to use this long ruler just because I'm in class and I have it with me. So I'm just lining the ruler up with the piece. And what I'm going to do is cut two pieces each for each type of bead I'm gonna make. If you want to have a piece of paper and a pen to write down any names of beads or anything that I'm making, or any type of anything that I'm saying that you want to write down for yourselves, please feel free. All right, so I'm just going to make 1/2 inch cuts, maybe about, I'll bring the camera closer so you all can see that. All right. Right now I'm making 1/2 inch cuts. And this is going to be I think I'm gonna kind of cut like maybe enough for 2 different types of beads. And then I'm going to move forward so I don't get lost. All right. So what I want to do is, for the sake of this class, I need to get a large sheet of paper. I'm just gonna get a piece of paper from this Bristol board that I have. This is gonna be our diagram paper. Sorry, young people, I usually turn my phone down during class. All right, so I have this diagram paper. Let me put this back up so that it doesn't get messed up. I'm also using this board right here just to hold this paper. All right, so I want to get a Sharpie marker, and the first thing I'm going to do is write down what I'm making. So the first piece we're going to make is round. And then the second one we're going to make is going to be a nugget. I'm going to go ahead and write down the next 2. However, I'm going to go ahead and create something before we.
You said the second one was nugget?
Nugget, yes.
Okay.
The first one is round. The second one is nugget. Then we're going to make you can call the round one a round one or a ball. Sometimes they have 2 different names depending on what you want to call it. And then I'm going to have the barrel. So far we have round or ball, nugget, and barrel. All right. So I have 2, I'm doing 2 for each piece. I'm going on ahead and still cutting my about 1/2 inch in pieces for those round pieces so that they'll be even. The ruler is just helping you cut your pieces even so your balls will be similar. All right, so the first one, what I'm going to do is the round ball. Even though this clay has already been sitting out, I just want to add a little bit of moisture. And roll a ball. Now you have to press gently in the palms of your hands to make sure. I've seen people who aren't able to roll balls, or they come out looking like rocks. All sorts of different impressions on them, and you want to roll the balls smooth and circular, spherical, like they're supposed to be. So that's basically it on the 2 balls. And while those just sit for a couple of seconds, I'm going to go ahead and roll 2 more balls for the 2 more sets of balls for the nuggets and barrels, just to let them get a little bit of leather. So that's my next one. And as you can see, I'm adding water each time. That's my 4th ball. 5th and 6th. I think it'd be better for me to turn these tools over somewhere else, newspaper, so that my demonstration paper won't get messed up. Yeah, that's better. And this is my 6th ball. I'm doing 2 beads for each one. And so just to cut that time down, I might go ahead and go to 1. All right. So this particular piece is made by the brand Sculpey. Sculpey, as you can see right here, Sculpey, Sculpey. And it's a etch and pearl particular piece. Etch is the real pointed end that you stick into the bead. As you can see, you see some pressed into beads, and at the end, it's a concave circular end that you're able to make pearl designs. All right, so this is what we're going to use to use the pointy ends to add fine details to the clay or to pierce the beads. So this is what I'm using to pierce the beads. And you can bake the beads directly on this metal skewer. However, I'm going to transfer them to the next metal wire. All right, for the round beads, all you have to do is find the center of the bead and start to press the bead and twist until you feel the bead come to the other side, touching your finger. And then you want to pull the piercer out and go to the direct other side so that you won't push the clay only one way. Meaning you'll push the clay out if you only go one way. And so one mistake that people make is the hole is usually too small. And if it's too small, it'll stick to the wire in the firing process. And as you can see, I have a hole here. So also sometimes when your hole is too small, when you get ready to glaze, those holes close up. I'm going to go ahead and add a hole to the next side. I pierced a little, but what I'm going to do is turn it and go the opposite direction so as not to push the clay out of the piece. And then go back in both sides just to make sure it's smooth. And this is your rounded bead. And so I'm just going to sit this over here on our board. And then the next piece is our nugget. What you want to do with the ball is just press your fingers pretty much all around the piece. until you make an organic type shape, so to speak. Organic means it's not representational of anything. It's just a natural form or shape. And I hope you can see that. That's a nugget, and I'm gonna go ahead and form another one by just pressing all around the circle, making an organic shape, but still keeping the surface smooth. All right. So you see that, and I'm gonna find where I can take the wire or the piercer, pierce through one side, and then go back through the other side, making a hole for each side. So that's a nugget, and I'm going on ahead and piercing the second nugget that I had on each end. As you continue to go back and forth, that helps just to smooth out the hole. All right, our next piece is a barrel. So you already have your ball for a barrel. And all you have to do for the barrel is to kind of gently hit it on the surface to make opposite ends flat. So it's like a round ball, basically with two flat sides. And as you can see, even though I'm holding the piece in between my fingers where it's flat, I'm going around with my fingers in the center just to kind of smooth it. And I'm gonna go ahead and hit the other one on each side, making it flat. And once again, twirling it in between my fingers, holding it flat on each end and in the center. And once again, on the flat end, you find the center, pierce it until you comes out a little, then go back on the other side. And this is called a barrel bead.
When you said barrel, Kim, I thought it was gonna be shaped like a barrel, a beer barrel, or that candy barrel.
If you want to get more of that beer barrel shape, then it's no problem. You just go ahead and make it that way. But this particular bead that you see rounded like that and flat on the edges is technically in the bead world. That's called a barrel.
Okay.
And next, I'm gonna go ahead and cut. So far we've made 3 beads. I'm gonna go ahead and cut some pieces for our next beads, which is, let me line up my ruler. All right, we're still gonna cut about a 1/2 inch of pieces of clay. Let me get my marker to mark what I've already done. Barrel, ball, nugget. Okay, so the next pieces that we are going to make is going to be, we're gonna make a teardrop. So once I place these pieces on this diagram, I won't be able to pick it back up because it's gonna be, the beads will be rolling everywhere. And from a teardrop, we're gonna make a horn or a tusk. Meaning you can call it a tusk or a horn. And then a tusk, T-U-S-K, tusk,
Okay.
like an elephant's tusk or a horn. And we are going to make I will say we'll make the, palm pebble. Palm pebble. If you need me to spell any of these terms, I will, just let me know.
P-A-L-M.
Palm Pebble, like your hand, Palm, Pebble, Horn Tusk. And the other one is Teardrop. All right, so what you want to do is we're going to go ahead and cut those pieces as soon as I find my needle tool. That's why you want to keep your area neat and everything organized. And I'm going to cut about, for the palm pebble, I'm going to go ahead and cut about an inch off for these beads. 2, 3, 4. All right. Just because the reason why I'm making 2 is just because even though it's for a demo, I'd rather make 2 of these beads in case I plan on making something later out of the beads. And so you have like a cylinder here or 2, yeah, a cylinder. And what I want to do is I just kind of smash it down, add a little water, and I'm going to roll balls with all of these pieces. I don't have to roll them so perfect at first, just to go ahead and make sure to get them all done. If you have any clay, you still have time to get your clay and make some beads along with me. It's your choice. And just recently, I just fired some beads for Miss Gwendolyn Alexander. She made a few beads, and some people, you know, sometimes people make different beads in the classroom that I've seen so far. Continuing to constitute that water, the moisture in the clay. Since they're small pieces, they'll dry out really quick. And even though that's sitting on my diagram right now, I can take those beads off later and just spray them a little bit more if I want to add designs or anything like that. So a lot of these beads that I'm doing first off, start off with the ball. That's what I said I was going to do 2 coils for, one for tubular type beads and one for round beads. But since the coil was so long, we was just going to start with the round and see if we have enough. Now my hands are a little bit messy. The clay is like sliding everywhere. That means, and it's not like sticking to my hand. That means my hands are too wet. All right, so I'm continuing to make that circle. All right, what I want to do is just move my ruler over and my coil so I have some surface on the table to work with. I'm going to get my first 2 balls. And what I'm going to do for the teardrop is I'm going to take one end of the ball and kind of sit it in between my hand like so, and just kind of press and twist my hands like rolling, so to speak, until I get one end to look kind of conish. And then what I'm going to do is sit it down and roll just the side that I want it to drop as it pertains to the teardrop shape. And so from there, you don't want the teardrop too long. You just want it to look just like a teardrop. And, you know, you press that end with your fingers, so to speak. If you have any cracks, like around the piece, like you see, you can just take some water and smooth it a bit. And don't forget, beads are all sorts of different shapes and sizes. So if your beads don't end up being the same size perfectly, you know, it's just still so fine. It's still okay to use. I'm putting this second one on the table, rolling down the cone end or the pointy end a little. And as you can see, this is the teardrop. And so I'm going to go ahead and make the other 2 pieces before I actually put the holes in them. And we are making also a horn tusk is the same thing. you want to roll down one side of the piece in the palm of your hand, pressing one side, and then you're gonna lay the piece down and roll that side that looks like a cone, but make it much longer, just like a tusk or a horn. So as you can see, it's much longer than the teardrop. And I just want to roll that side just a little bit to make it even. All right, so that's what that looks like. And we're going to go ahead and make the second one. So this is the difference between a teardrop and a tusk. All right, I'm going to go ahead and make a second one, tusk that is, rolling one side, the inside of the palm of my hand, just to get that cone shape. And after I get a point, I can sit it on the table or the surface that you're working on, rolling out one side, making it long, but keeping it even, going down from the thick end to the skinny end. All right. And I want to, that looks good to me and smooth. And now we're going to do the palm pebble. The palm pebble is just a circle, and actually all you do is press it out, kind of round it, but elongate it. And just kind of make it even from the top surface that you feel. And that's how the shape looks. See, it still has some thickness on the side. I'm going on ahead and pressing the second palm pebble. If you have any, it's good, even though if you might have a spray bottle, it's good to have a cup of water as well, to just to dip your fingers in. All right. Now for the holes for these pieces, the teardrop, the hole goes, I need to make that one just a little bit longer to match the other one. Inside the teardrop, the hole goes towards the pointed tip, so that when tears drop or you have raindrops, the larger bulb end is downward and it breaks off. So this is the right side up. You want to make a hole, go to the side until you feel it, and go back through the other side so you're not pushing the clay out, and just make it deeper. And make sure you're doing it low enough so that you don't break the bead. And you can always go back and smooth anything you need to. Okay, this is the teardrop. I'm going to go ahead and just lay that down, or I can even sit it up. But I think I'll lay it down rather than making my bottoms get a flat surface. So I'm just going in the center of that side and back through. Just like so. And I'm going to take the tusk or the horn tusk, just like the tusk from an elephant hangs like so, or curves like that. The hole goes into the bulb or the thicker end for that particular bead. Other side. And I just make sure to go about 2 or 3 times just to make sure I'm opening up that hole properly and smoothing it with the tool. That's how that looks. I'm laying that down. And I'm going to go ahead and go through the second one. So we do have a couple of more ball tubes, but just for time's sake, I'm gonna go ahead and, not ball tubes, I'm sorry, we have ball beads, but I'm gonna go ahead and make a couple of tubular beads so that we will make sure to make some of those before the time is up. And for the palm pebble, the hole goes right through the side of one end, like so. Make sure to go through the back side. And you can use your loop tubes once these get completely your loop tool. I didn't mean to say tool. You can use one of these loop tools right here to scrape off any clay that's raised to the top. Once they get leather, if you have anything like raised like that, or once they get a little leather, you can go back and brush them smooth. So what I mean by scraping is taking one of these pieces and scraping over like so. If you have any clay that pushed out that's raised on the piece. And so that's the pebble, the palm pebble. I'm gonna go through the top edge of one side and back through the other side. And that's how that bead looks. All right, moving right along, we're gonna go ahead and do a few tubes. What we're going to make is, right now we just did the horn or tusk, the teardrop, and the palm pebble. Right now we're going to make a cylinder. We're going to make a curved tube, and we're going to make a twisted rectangle. Twisted rectangle. If you want to write these types of beads down and maybe draw some type of rough draft little picture for yourself, feel free. So we have the cylinder, curved tube, and the twisted rectangle that we're making now. All right, so the first thing I want to do is get my ruler once again and my coil.
Kim, show the top three at also you. Please.
We have the round ball, the nugget, the barrel, teardrop, horn or tusk, and the palm pebble. Right now we're making a cylinder, curved tube, and twisted rectangle. So I'm back to lining up the coil with my ruler so that I can get some even cuts, and that will make my beads come out as even as possible. I'm gonna go ahead and still cut 1 inch pieces, 2 beads each. So that's 3, we need 6, 4, 5, 6. All right. I'm just, the needle tool did not cut all the way through, but it's cut enough that I'm able to go ahead and break the pieces right down the cut. All right. So I'm just moving this to the side a little bit so it doesn't get wet. And also I'm gonna go ahead and add a piece, sorry, I'll add another tube since it's in this category. So If you hear some noise, it's because I'm at the facility and there are workers here. Or I'm gonna go ahead and cut 2 more for the actual tube. And I'm gonna put that on the board. So we have cylinder, curved tube, twisted rectangle, and tube. All right. So the first thing we want to do is actually, this already looks pretty good for the cylinder. All I want to do is just kind of roll it down a bit. I'm going to move my pieces to the side. And I'm just going to wipe up in this area a little bit, making sure there is not any clay sticking. And what I want to do is just kind of roll this coil out just a bit, but not too thin, where the wire will go through it and bust through the sides. So I'm going to take my second piece and just roll it down about the same thickness as that cylinder was or is. And you see I'm gently beating the sides as so to have a flat surface. I'm checking these to see if they're about the same length. And I'm going to take my piercer and pierce the end, keeping it as straight as possible until I get to the other side. Once I feel where it came through, I go back, making a hole, going back again, just to make sure it's large enough. And while this cylinder is on the wire or the piercer, I want to go ahead and I have several tools up here that could possibly make designs. And what I'm going to do is just go ahead and roll a design into this piece. I'm going to do that on both sides, the opposite side. So I'm looking over it to make sure. And the reason why I'm doing it while it's on the piercer, so as I roll, it won't collapse the hole. So I just made a bead with a design. All right, we're gonna go ahead and skewer that off and just kind of hit the edges a little, making sure they are flat. And I'm going to put that right up under the cylinder, and we're gonna skewer the second piece right in the center, holding it until we go right down the center. Switch on the other side. Sometimes if I do have a little clay sticking to the piercer or whatever, I just rub it off with my finger and put it with my excess clay. All right, so we have that on the edge. I'm gonna go ahead and put my design on each side. I just keep rolling it until the impression gets really deep so that you can see the design. I'm gonna take it off the piercer and just hit the edges a bit so that the bead is flat. All right, that's the cylinder with the design. And we're gonna go ahead and make the curved tube. I'm gonna go ahead and make the twisted triangle first. So I'm rolling a little coil, keeping my edges flat. And I'm just rolling this coil out a bit, but not too thin so that the piercer won't go through it or it'll bust out the sides. You want to have it thick enough compared to whatever the thickness of your piercer is. You can't go smaller than the wire that you're sticking through the bead, so to speak. All right, so I have about 2 pieces that look pretty even. They're gonna get more even once I fix the ends. And what I want to do now is beat this or squeeze this piece until I get a rectangle, which is 4 sides. So I'm holding it. And now I'm just kind of beating it on the surface that I'm working on until I get 4 sides. You have to take your time, especially if you think you have like big fingers or something, or if you sometimes tend to be a little clumsy. Just take your time. So even though it's hard to kind of beat it here, you want to still sit it down and make 4 sides. I'm going to go ahead and make 4 sides with the other one so I can be mass producing and on point with both of them. Do the same things to each one of them at the same time. Now I'm going to use my fingers to press those as I turn it to make the squared edges more pronounced. From here, you want to kind of beat the edges just to make everything squared out, just like so. And now you have a 3-dimensional rectangle. As you can see. And what you want to do is basically just start to twist it. All right, you see the twist in that? I'm going to go ahead and twist the next one. I start out at the top and kind of just work my fingers down, continue to hold and twist it so that it doesn't twist out of the length. And I'm keeping the same length, so to speak. If your beads are starting to crack all up when you are actually making the shapes, that means it's not enough moisture in there. And so from there, I'm going to go ahead before this dries out too much, is add the hole to the twisted rectangle. So gently go down the center. Take your time and hold it as you push, keeping the piece straight so as to get it to come out the other end as straight as possible without busting through the sides. And you have to take your time so you don't mess up your twisted design. You can see it came out the other end. Not as centered as I'd like, but that's still good. I'm gently taking it out and I'm gonna go right back through the other side, just gently pushing, following where you see how it has a little clay there. You just wanna wipe that off and put that with your other clay. Reconstitute it. All right, I'm gonna go back through the other side one more time just to make sure my hole is open on the bead. All right, that's the twisted rectangle. And I'm gonna do this other one, which seems a little thinner. So I just have to take my time holding it and making sure it comes out the other edge. As you can see, I'm wiping that clay off and I'm gonna take the piercer out and go through the other side. Did y'all know I've been doing artwork since I was 3 years old?
You have that, Kim.
Yes, ma'am.
So a lot of these techniques and things that I'm doing is just stuff that I've been doing from since I was young, and I'm self-taught. I've never taken art classes per se. When I did have a chance to go to college, I said, I don't want to waste my money on something that I've already been doing all these years. And instead I took fine arts and computer graphics, like I can make flyers and that type of thing, and photography. So that's the twisted rectangle. And now we're gonna go ahead and quickly make a tube. So the 1-inch pieces that I made are basically already in the shape that you need. There's nothing that you need to do but pierce the piece. And I'm gonna do that, but however, I did just realize that I wanted to make 2 longer tubes and 2 shorter tubes. So I'm going back to my coil and cut 2 1/2-inch pieces for the shorter tubes. This is how they look. So we're gonna have 2 shorter tubes. You see, I'm just kind of neatening them up because they're already in the shape that they need to be, and just rounding it out, neatening it up, moving my coil. And what I'm going to do is pierce the center like so, hold it straight and gently take it through until it gets to the other side. Go back out, go through again. Okay, so what makes a tube is the size of the hole. What you want to do is basically, I'm going to use this skewer now for like when you make shish kebabs and stuff, because this particular piercer is thin on one end and gets thicker on the other. And I want to use something that's the same thickness throughout the whole piece.
Kim, do the skewers for the, the piercers for the clay, do they come in different diameters?
Yes, they do. Yes,
Okay,
they
and
do. You
they're
can,
so like in a pack?
yes, I have the back of one pack that I have, the Sculpey,
Yes.
and this one comes with, I want to say 3. It has like a small, medium, and large. And so it has the piercing end. And like I said before, it has a end called a concave end, and it gives you creates a delicate pearl type pattern. So I'm going to do those on one of the pieces so you'll be able to see. All right.
Thank
So I have this metal wire, and I have the 1-inch piece of coil on here. And all you're going to do is roll the piece evenly. Roll it, applying just a little bit of pressure. You don't want to add too much pressure because you don't want the pieces to get too thin on the sides of the piece. And what I do is gently just hit the piece. I do want this a little bit wider. So as you roll the hole, it gets really larger. And that's what makes this a tube, because the hole is like really large. And from there, I want to add a design. What I'm going to do is put this on the back of my feathered texture tool just so it can hold it. And I'm going to take the actual Sculpey piercer and make a few designs from that end, like so. So I'm going to go to the opposite side and do the same thing with 2. I always like to keep it on something so it doesn't collapse the whole of the bead. I'm just hitting the edges again to make those really flat, and you can go back and smooth them once the beads get leathered. This is the long tube. I'm going to go ahead and make the other one right quick, and the short ones all in one. So where's my piercer? I'm piercing the next long tube. Oops. Going down centered. Other side. And now I'm going to take this piece, since it's even all the way around the diameter, and roll, making that hole larger, not too thin, beating the edges so that I can get a flat surface on my edge, putting it back on the feathered texture tool and adding those same 2 pearl circular designs on each side, like I did the other bead. Taking it off, beating the edge again, and sitting those to the side. So the actual next one is the same thing, but shorter. So you can make short tubes, long tubes. And I'm putting that on the wire to roll it. And actually when you roll it too, it helps to make the bead smooth. And so since the longer tube, I had 2 pearl designs. On the shorter one, I'm gonna make 1 on each side. And that way they can kind of match those as a set. If I decide to make a necklace or string those all on one, the beads that I'm making now, string them all on one and into one piece. And so I'm making the second one, and we're gonna move right along. So far, we've made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 beads. And we're gonna go ahead and go to the curved tube. And even if I'm gonna keep going, but however, if we do have to stop, at least I've done a few rounded beads and a few tubular beads. But I think we should be able to get a few more done. If anybody has to leave class, feel free. This will be posted on YouTube. I'm putting the design on here after I slip it onto something that'll give me some type of surface where I just won't collapse the bead. And I'm gonna beat it again to make sure the edges are flat. I can go back and smooth those with water and a brush later, or my finger. All right. So the curved tube, we're gonna use the last 2 pieces that we have, and we're gonna roll out the length of the coil that we want. Don't go too thin so that your piercer will have a surface area. All right, I'm gonna beat the edges, making sure those are flat, and go back once I beat those edges and make sure that the tube is even. That's 1. I'm gonna make the next one about the same thickness. And even though, you don't have to rush, but you still wanna work with a smooth, even type of consistency as far as time, so that your pieces don't dry out on you. And the ones, if you plan on going back to the ones that you've already made, every blue moon, all you have to do is just lightly spray. All right. So I think these are, I need to roll this one out just a bit once I've compared the length on both of them. All right. So those pieces are about the same length. I'm gonna take my piercer, clean it off, and I'm gonna go ahead. Now you have to take your time when something is much longer to steady it and make sure that it's going down the center. I'm just bracing my fingers on the side, going down the center as best I can. And as you can see, when it came out the other side, but I have to twist it out and go down the other side so that I'm not pushing the clay one way and smoothing the inside of the hole at the same time. Also, I'm just gonna, I don't want to roll that on there. It's gonna make the hole larger. We don't want to go too large. And now I'm gonna use the wire just to go through here evenly. And to keep your beads from sticking to the wire, you can use a little bit of WD-40 on your wires as you're working, just a bit. Okay, as you can see, I'm able to go down that wire easily. And before I actually, so I'm gonna hit the edges. And since curving the clay takes bending and you don't want it to crack, you want to go ahead and curve that before you make the next bead, so that it don't dry out and you don't go to the next bead and then come back and try to bend it and it's dried out. Okay. You can use a like a wire type of thing. You can use gauge wire, wire that comes from like electrical appliances, that type of thing, something that bends, to put it inside of there to bend if you want. But I like to bend mine with my hand. And so that is what this is for when you're firing your curved pieces, to be able to put the beads on that piece curved. So that's what I'm gonna do now. Is add that to the piece. And that's how that's gonna be fired, as you can see. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a hole in the other curved tube, taking my time to go down the center. Go through the other side, like we've said, on each bead. And then I'm going to use the wire. See how easy that goes through? To go through each side. I'm hitting my edge. Before I actually curve it, I want to go through again, just from pressing the edge down to make sure that the hole is open. And I'm gonna gently start curving from the center, making it look like a noodle or a macaroni. And then I'm going to add it to the bead tree. You have to be careful when you put it on there to make sure you don't bust a hole through it, just like I did. But if you do, all you have to do is smooth over it. All right, those are our 2 curved beads. Gonna sit those to the side. Actually, I can take them off right now and put them on later. I just want to sit them on our board for right now. All right. So if you want to keep going, we're going to go ahead and go to a couple of more beads. We just did the cylinder, curved tube, twisted rectangle, and the tube. All right.
Kim, I have a question before you go on.
Yes, ma'am.
The curved bead, can you, if you use them for earrings, can you actually bend the eye pin or head pin to go in there, or do you have to use wire?
You can use wire, string, or you can bend the head pin. Yes, you can.
Okay.
Concave. We're going to make a concave disc. I'll show you those in just one second as far as the words and the spellings. We're going to make a, we're going to make tabular beads, but I'm going to only make one of those to save time. we're gonna make a tabular triangle, a tabular square, and a tabular triangle. Concave disc, and we will make an oblong bead. So if you can see that, we have the concave disc, oblong, tabular triangle, tabular square, and tabular triangle. All right. Coming right back over here towards my paper in my area. All right. So what I want to do now is get my ruler again and that long coil. The coil is long enough. As you can see, I've made pretty much all these beads and I don't have to use that second half that I had. I'm going to get my needle tool and cut about, I'm going to make the tabular ones first. I'm going to cut a 1/2 inch is good. I'm wondering if a 1/2 inch is good. Actually, I'm going to scrap all that. I want to go just a little bit longer for those. I'm going to do a 1/2, and I don't know what to call it, but 2 lines. 2 lines. Does that make sense? 2 small lines. That's 1, 2, and 3. All right. So for the circle, all you do is reconstitute the pieces. I'm making a ball. The first thing I want to do is wash my hands again. A little bit messy. All right, I have my ball in my hand. And what I'm going to do is press it out. I'm going to press it out like I pressed the palm pebble. As you can see, it's round. And then I'm going to take it to put it on the between my thumb and my index finger and go around the edge with my thumb and index finger on my left hand, or depending on if you right-handed or left-handed. And what I'm going to do to get a square surface on the end is just kind of roll it on the table, so to speak. Okay, I think that's good. You can see the thickness of it on the side. It has like a more squared edge. And then I'm gonna go ahead and make my other 2 shapes for the tabular pieces. Gonna do round. Press it out like a circle. And then I'm gonna start to beat the edges until I get a square. All I'm doing is making a square shape, a circular shape, and a triangular shape, making it thin, but not too thin so that the piercer won't be able to go through it. I think I want to just gently hit that on the hard surface again to make each side squared out. This is a square tab. And now I'm going to make the triangle. I need to add a little moisture to that. Press it out into a circle. Make one edge square. And go ahead and continue to press the sides until you get a triangular shape. That's how that looks. You can keep working on it for the shape that you desire. I'm just working on it to make my tips a little bit more pronounced. Now also you can make beads by using an extruder. Everybody know what an extruder is?
Yes.
Yes.
This is an extruder. They have different kinds. An extruder is some type of gun or some type of apparatus that you put clay in and you push it out. However, I have all these different dies. A die is a design die. As you can see, you can press different shapes out from these dies and make beads as well. So anyway, I have my triangle. As you can see, I'm also pressing it on the surface on each side flat where I can get the desired shape, like so. Now, most of the beads that we made are going straight through on the side that way, but tabs go through the top and bottom. And I know you've seen beads like that, so I'm cleaning my piercer off really well. All right, I'm gonna do the circle last because the circle is probably my most difficult one. And so I'm gonna start from the tip of the triangle and take my time until I get to the center of the bottom. It came out, I'm gonna go back through the other side. You wanna take your time so that it doesn't bust through the sides of the bead. And as you can see, as I keep going through each side, it makes the hole cleaner and larger. This is a triangular tab. I closed my hole a little bit, smoothing out that side. So I just wanted to go back and redo that. All right, one thing you want to do before you let your beads dry is actually put them onto the bead wire so that the hole won't shrink and won't shrink smaller than the diameter or the circumference of the actual wire. And you want to, and so that it will actually stay open. So I'm going through the side of the square piece and I just hold my finger there so I don't bust through either side until I get to the center of the next edge. I'm going through, back through. Hopefully it'll come straight through, which it did. And I continue to go back and forth until my hole is open and smooth. That's the square. And now to me, the most difficult one is the circle. I'm finding the thick edge, going through, keeping my finger on each side so that I can feel where the piece is, the piercer. And once I see the piercer has come through, I'm going through the other side, but I still have to hold it to make sure it doesn't bust through. I'm gonna do that on both sides a couple of times. And these are tabular beads. I can go back and smooth those later. That's the tabular, I wrote tabular triangle twice. One of y'all should have told me that. So I meant to put tabular circle. I did tabular triangle twice. All right. So our next piece is going to be the concave disc. I'm going to cut 1/2 inch pieces for the concave disc and 1/2 inch pieces for the oblong. All right, so I'm just going to spray all of that together to save time. Rolling the balls. All right, I'm going to roll all 4 balls first. We're going to make the concave disc and the oblong. Sometimes these demos get really long. I'm like, wow, it's already 12 o'clock. All right, for the oblong, all you have to do is roll a ball and then start to roll the piece in an oblong shape, but keep your ends rounded, like a little jelly bean. So I'm going to go ahead and roll the next oblong piece. That's an oblong bead. It kind of looks like a tube. The only thing is on the tube, the cylinder, the ends are flat rather than rounded. Okay, that's the oblong bead. And for the concave disc, you're going to do the same thing with the palm pebble. Press it out like a flat circle, so to speak. And then you're going to take your finger and press in the center, making a concave shape while still working your fingers around the edges to make it smooth, so to speak. When you get a concave shape like so, on both sides, I like to turn it over and work my thumb on each side. That's your concave disc. It's a disc that's concave. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and press the second one out. And go ahead and start to go in the center with my thumb, turning and pressing on the edges as well. Same thing on the opposite side. All right, the holes for these pieces, the holes for the concave piece, where is my piercer, goes right through the center here. So I got some clay stuck on here. Then I'm gonna go through the other side. Once again, you can clean that clay up by brushing. Smooth. Kind of looks like a button too. All right, I'm going through one side, the other side, making sure the hole stays clean. If you get some clay on your piercer, just wipe it off. All right, that's that. And for the oblong, you know, all you're doing is piercing right in the center, holding it, going to the other edge. When you see the needle come out, You go back through so that you don't push the clay from the hole through, and it stays in the center and everything stays smooth. For this particular piece, I'm gonna go ahead and add a design. I have this particular tool that I got from a Goodwill, and I also have this thing here, but I choose to use this one, and all I'm gonna do is gently tap this around here, making some indentations to make it look rough. And even though I've only done about 3 designs on these beads, you can do all sorts of designs if you like. That's how it looks. Please be mindful of your background noise, young people. Somebody needs to mute themselves. I'm going through the other end, back through, and then I'm going to put my design on it since I'm making matching beads. Keeping it on the piercer so I don't making sure that the hole doesn't collapse. That's the oblong bead. All right, so let me tell you how many beads I have left so I can see if you all want to go on. All right, we just did the tabular, triangle, circle, and square. We did the oblong, and we did the concave disc. All right, so what I have left is a cone. And you can tell me if you want to go on with these particular beads, or we can start them on the next demo. We can do the bicone. Then you have a square bicone. And you have a concave bicone. And the last one is a tassel bead. So I'll put that right here. So we have, and I don't have to make doubles. I can make one just to go ahead and finish the class off. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more beads. Do you all want me to go ahead and make those last 5 beads?
Kim, I have
Me personally, I have to leave, so if we could save it for next class, that's just
But
me
you can watch
personally.
it on YouTube as well. You can watch it on YouTube as well. What about everybody else? What y'all think? Miss Boucher, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't mind staying because I'm very interested in doing it. But are you able to put all of those samples on that one board? Because I want to take a screenshot of it when you're done.
Yes, ma'am. I do
All
have
right.
all the samples on here.
Okay, great.
All right. So, Miss Etheria, I'm going to go ahead and make these so the next class will be something entirely different. But however, you will be able to watch these on YouTube, love. So right now, I'm just going to show you the board, what we are doing now in case you want to jot them on your piece. We have the cone we're about to make, the bicone. We're going to make a saucer. Sorry, I should have said the cone, then the bicone, then the square bicone, and then the concave bicone. So all of those are different types of cones: cone, square cone, and concave bicone. We're going to make a saucer and a tassel bead. All right, let's get right to it.
Excuse me, Kim, can you hold that up again? I didn't get the bottom of it.
Oh, you know, I'm gonna hold it. I'm gonna do it again when I get the beads on there so you can take the whole thing.
Okay, all right.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna do it right at the end so you can get all of them. All right,
I have a question also, Kim.
go for
That
it.
that tool that's sitting at the top of your workstation, yes, is that a pasta maker?
Yes, yes, I
Yeah.
got it from the thrift store or Goodwill. That's why I
Yeah.
always tell people when you see little tools and stuff like this that you think might can help you in clay, just go
Mhm.
ahead and grab it. And I always have this in the classroom setting in case somebody wants to use it. All right, so we're gonna cut out pieces for these, and I said I was gonna do one. I need to even this coil out just a bit right here. It's like thicker on one side than the other. And thanks you all for joining and being interested in this demo. And anybody who's not able to stay in here can definitely watch this later on YouTube. I'm just cutting the edges off to make sure my edges are straight. And I'm gonna go ahead and sit this here and cut all my pieces. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 beads we're gonna make. All right, I'm gonna cut some 1-inch pieces, 3, 4, 5, 6. That'll take care of our 6 beads. I'm gonna put them over here on my paper and separate them so that I can just add a little moisture all at once to make sure to do them quicker. And the cone is gonna start from a ball, and then I'm going to, so it's just like making a teardrop. I'm actually pressing one side of the ball in my hand to make it like a cone, as you can see. This is the pointed edge of a cone. And I need a little bit more moisture on this. It's cracking from the dryness of my hand, the clay that I have dried up in my hand. And what makes this a cone, this is a teardrop right here. What makes it a cone is the thicker edge, the bulb. You want to hit it on the table and make it square or flat. And then I like to roll it on the side. And so if you were making a piece, like I saw Miss Gloria Bell make one time, her chocolate challenge piece, she had some Hershey's Kisses on them. This is exactly how you would make a Hershey's Kiss, except for on the tip, you kind of just curve it a bit. But however, this is a cone right here, flat bottom, top edge. The cone, I'm gonna go ahead and put the hole in it. No, I'm gonna go ahead and make my other pieces. All right, for the, what's next? Okay, for the saucer, you basically gonna have a coil, like so. You're gonna roll down each side, keeping the center fat. Once you get the edges, okay, I might as well just let this be my bicone. So a bicone is the round, just like a cone here, but with another tip on the other side. So I'm just gonna roll these quickly before I get to my saucer. Because before you make a saucer from a bicone, that's why I went on ahead and changed it. All right, so once I get those tips, I go ahead and put it on my hard surface and roll those 2 edges. And right here, this is called, I'm just smoothing a little bit with my fingers inside my hand. This particular piece is called a bicone. It's 2 cones on each end. All right, we're sitting that to the side, and I'm going to make the made a bicone, concave bicone, sorry. So I'm just pressing down my edges a bit, so once I roll it, they'll already be down, so to speak. Now I'm going on ahead to make my tips. And what I'm going to do is press down in the center like so with my thumbs. Creating like a disc in the center. Keep going around. The circle, but also you want to work your fingers on the edge to make that side straight as well. You can roll it like so. And you can smooth this later if you see any imperfections. This is a concave bicone. It's concave around this circular part. I'm putting that to the side. The square bicone, same thing. You want to roll each end to become smaller than the center or the belly. Now I'm starting to work that. You're going to press that out, making 4 sides. Four sides. See, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. You can go back and smooth that a bit. And I'm going to press my edges on the surface and using my fingers to hold it as I go around. And as you can see from the top, it looks like a square. You just keep working it if you like, until you get your square. And on the opposite side. Somebody call it Lord have mercy. 1 second, young people. Still in class. All right, and so we have 2 more beads to make. The square bicone we just made, the concave bicone, and the saucer. The saucer, it's the same 2 edges. Roll them out. Keep the belly and the inside thick. And start to press that out really thin and circular. You can press this one flat. The other one was concaved a bit. And don't forget, once again, you can put all sorts of designs on these pieces. I didn't have time today for our design aesthetic because I had to make sure to get the beads done. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and make the tassel. The tassel bead, what you want to do is have a short, fat type of coil, so to speak. And then I'm gonna beat the edges. Gonna move this ruler out of the way because we're done with it for today. As you can see, I have like a short tube. I'm gonna go ahead and pierce this from one side to the other, making sure the other side has a hole. And what I want to do, the end where the point is sticking out will be the larger side of the hole, and this side will stay the same. So what you want to do is roll and add pressure to one side, so to speak. As you can see, this side is staying the same size and this side is getting larger. And so you're just going to continue to do that for till it opens up. What you want to do is take a tool, kind of just start opening that side up, keeping it smooth in the inside. Use your finger to open it up. Like so, keeping the walls about the same thickness. And then at the top, you're gonna go ahead and continue to make a shape. You can make these shapes rounded. I like to make mine a little bit square. Like so. They can be rounded or square. And so from there, you're going to take your needle tool and use it to crimp around the top edge, like so. Like a circle around the top edge. This is called a tassel. All right, so I'm going to place these pieces, tassel, bead, bicone. Oh, sorry. Let me go ahead and put these, sorry. The bicone, the hole is right through the edge. It goes straight through, coming out the other edge. So you still have to hold it with your fingers until you get to that other end, and then go ahead and twist it out and go back through the other way, making sure the clay is only pushing one way and smooth. Just do that a couple of times. And you can always flatten out your edges by hitting it a little bit on the surface, but still make sure that you go through again to make sure those holes are open and smooth. That's our bicone. The cone, you can make the cone go through the actual, the entire piece, or you can go straight through the top. Right here, I choose to go through the top, going through the side so that the cone can sit a certain way as you string it. Be careful, since that's the tip. Mine is just bursted, not bursting, but kind of just breaking a little. And so all I want to do is just add some moisture and make sure that's tight together. Oh, almost dropped it. Now I'm getting mud on the paper. All right, wiping my hands. And the next piece is the square bicone right here. The hole goes through the edge again to the tip, to the other side. Make sure to hold it. I have 2 more beads and we'll be done for today. Make sure to go back and clean up your beads, smooth them, add designs if you like, whatever you fancy. This is the square bicone. This is the concave bicone right here. Also, I like to roll my edges because once the kiln fires, you don't want pieces too pointy and the glaze going on those pieces turning glass. Like you don't want to be too pointed to cut you or to stick you. So I like to roll my any tips or edges that are too pointy. So I'm going back through the other side. And thanks you all for being so patient today with this demo.
It's very interesting, Kimmy.
Thank you. Concave bicone. And then the last one is the sorry, what was it called? Sorry. It was the saucer. So the only other thing I can say is you can make a cylinder, which you know is like this and round. A squared cylinder is just hitting all sides to be square. We didn't do a squared cylinder, but we did a twisted rectangle, which is a squared cylinder twisted. So you know how to make a squared cylinder. And the other one was just a spacer. You know how sometimes you see different colored, beautiful beads or in between it to have them separated, you have like a little small bead, it's round. That's just called a spacer. It's basically just like a palm pebble, but a really small one. So that's how you make a spacer as well. So right here, you see me pressing this clay in between my fingers and making it round at the same time and small. This is called a spacer. It's just to give you some space in between certain beads that you're stringing.
I just happen to have some earrings right here on my desk that I made.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you see those?
1 second. One second. Spacer. Let's see. Hold on. Okay.
And then there's another one.
Oh yeah, I like that little twisted bead on the bottom. It looks nice.
Very nice, Miss Bell.
Thank you.
So we got the spacer, the saucer, tassel bead, square bicone, bicone, concave bicone, cone. And I just gotta go ahead and make this since it's part of my lesson. All right, this last one. Sorry. Give me a second. This last one is basically just what happened? Hold on. Now my camera's showing from the, I don't know why, showing from my computer screen rather than the actual camera that I have. Oh, because it came loose. Sorry. I was like, why? Anyway,
Did they cut you off, Kim?
no, what it did, it cut me off from my camera that I'm using here that you can see. And it keeps using the computer camera. So I'm just gonna do that right here. All right, so it's a cylinder, and all you do is go ahead and make your 4 sides. That's the square cylinder. Sometimes, even though I know you can't see that, I like to press it while it's down on the table to get my all 4 sides even, like before we did the twisted rectangle. And I'm gonna show you that. And so this is the square cylinder. I'm gonna go ahead and pierce that. Go back through the other end. And I'm gonna add that to the board. I'm gonna show you all the board. And we're gonna conclude class for today. I think that was a really good class. Sorry, that is the squared. And so I hope you have your paper. I'll give you the names. Read them out to you. If you need the spelling, please feel free to ask. So this last one, I want to go ahead and do a quick design in it. I have this roller. So I'm just gonna gently roll on this piece all the way around. This roller has a particular design on it. I'm gonna go back through to make sure my hole is still open. And this is the design that came out on this particular bead. All right. Just give me one.
When you cut that square cylinder, was that a 1/2 inch or inch? I'm sorry,
It wasn't. Hold on. Can you hear me?
I
Yeah,
can't.
You say you can or can't?
we
Can.
can.
Oh, okay. One second. Okay, we back. Woo!
You.
I was like, this is kind of hard, but I finally figured it out what to do. All right, so we're back to our drawing board, and right now I'm able to show you all what we've done today.
All right, get it nice and centered.
Let me know when it's, hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. Let me move this to the side so I can see. All right.
Good.
Hold on.
All right, perfect, Kim.
Perfect.
Everybody got it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so this says round or ball, nugget, barrel, cone, bicone, saucer, teardrop, horn or tusk, palm pebble, square bicone, tassel bead, cylinder, curved tube, twisted rectangle, tube, we have a long tube and a short tube. Concave disc, oblong, concave bicone. We have the tabular triangle, the tabular square, the tabular circle. We have a squared cylinder, and we have a spacer.
Okay, I have a couple of questions.
Yes, ma'am.
My first question is, do you always measure the clay or do you weigh the clay? Which one is better? Do you ever like, say, I want all my balls to be a certain ounce? Do you do that or do you always cut them?
If you have a scale,
Mm-hmm.
I would use a ruler or something that's like a grid that has lines that you can actually cut the coil, you know, just like I did with the ruler.
Yes.
And then the pieces, let's say if I had 20 round balls that I wanted to make.
Mm-hmm.
Once I've rolled the balls in the circle, you don't even have to roll them in the circle. Once you have those pieces cut, then your scale, you just go ahead and weigh each one.
Okay.
You give yourself like a range, like if you want them to be perfect, then they all gonna end up being like one whatever. But if it comes out to be like 1.1 and you don't care or something like that, that's fine. But if you want them to be all even and the weight as well, yes. Because that's how they do dough, like when they are cutting for pastries and pizza and
Right.
stuff. They cut the pieces as it pertains to the sizes that they want with a measurement, and then they still go ahead and put them on the weight to make sure each weight is right, because that's money, that's business.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So the other question, my other question was, when you pierce the bead to make the holes, how much shrinkage do you have when you put it in the kiln? Or are they going to stay that same size because you're putting them on that the schools there?
The actual wires, they will stay, they're gonna stay. See, you see how, so the reason why I went back and forth on my, as long as they kind of slide on the piece pretty smooth,
Yes.
like so, then they'll be fine as far as the shrinkage. That's the only thing you want to know. And another thing you can do, remember I was saying, put a little bit of WD-40 on the pieces so they don't stick. But as long as they pretty much sliding smooth, then they won't, it won't shrink that much.
Okay.
So that's what you want to do, is just take your time and make sure all of your pieces are going on the, so what I like to do is, like you see I have 2 balls here. Instead of making sure it's moving smooth on this one, I'll do it on a separate piece, like so. Make sure it's moving smooth, which it is. See that? And then go ahead and add it to the bead wire so that you can put them on the bead tree, and make sure they are separated to some degree. So I'm going on ahead and just using this to move it up and down so I don't mess up my other beads. It's moving smooth, and I'm putting that on the bead tree as well. That's the nugget. Now I'm going to the barrel. It's moving really smooth. That's why I said make sure your holes are large enough that they'll give you some space on whatever wire that you're using. You can use gauge wire that you buy from Home Depot to make smaller holes. You can use electrical wire. You know, I'm going to ahead and put these on here. And this is all I'm going to put on my first wire, which is going to be all my round ones. And I'm sitting that, I'm going to push them a little bit closer together just because, so they can fit.
Okay. And my other, it's not a question, it's a comment. You have beautiful penmanship, Kim.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, she does.
People tell me that all the time. I think that's the artist in me, but I don't know.
Yeah. Perfect elementary school teaching.
Thank you. So I'm making sure that smooth is running smooth. And as it did, it broke my tip off. because I kept doing it too hard. So I'm gonna fix that, but come back to that one. I'm gonna go to my long beads now. My teardrop is fine. I'm using another piece. I'm just gonna do one more wire to get beads on these so you can see everything running smooth. I'm adding the teardrop right to that piece. Gently laying it down because of the shape. I'm gonna add my horn tusk to that piece as well, since they're long and they'll be hanging. And what I can do for the to save space in the kiln is to put the ones that are hanging higher on the top and put the balls on the bottom, since they're not hanging. They don't need the height of the piece. So that's gonna be going here and here. And I think I'll go ahead and add my twisted rectangles to this piece as well, since they are long. The twisted rectangles. I want to go through them first, make sure they open really smooth. Just keep going. Even if you have to press on the sides a little bit to open it up, just make sure it's sliding through really smooth. Like so, you don't have any type of pressure at all. Sorry, I don't even know why I said it, because these things ain't even hanging. How about if I put my concave disc on there? That'll be fine. All right. And so
How long would they be in the kiln, Kim?
I actually fire them, like when I put them in there, let's say today,
Mhm.
they're gonna be in there, what's the day? Friday until Monday.
Okay.
Sorry. They're gonna be in there till Monday because I don't come to work till Monday, but Friday, Saturday. It'll shut off Saturday evening. Like actually the kiln is it's no timer, it's a digital kiln. So it's gonna actually shut off when the cone bends, but it's gonna take about probably like a half a day. And so if I put them in there, let's say if I put them in there at 2 o'clock when I get ready to leave here, then they will come out tomorrow, Saturday, probably about, they're gonna stop about probably like 2 o'clock, but it's gonna take about 3 or 4 hours for the kiln to actually cool down, to actually go inside of it.
All right, and you all are closed on Monday, Kim, so don't show up to work.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Lord and me. All right. That was so funny. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and put my cylinders on this piece. And I'm only, since the cylinders are so long, I'm only gonna be able to fit 2 more on here. And I could use this spacer on here. That's moving really easy. And I'm gonna put this bicone on here. That's moving really easy. Let's see if it fits there. All right, that's pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and get another one. Add these. I had already went through the twisted rectangle. So that's why they're going on really easy. And I'm gonna put the palm pebble on this piece. The palm pebbles are like a nice, good flat surface that you can add really nice designs to. So as you can see so far, let me bring this camera down. This is the first side of the bead tree that I have done. And I'm just gonna go ahead and flip this around so you can see the opposite side. I'll take these off when I get ready to load them in the kiln. So like instead of picking the whole thing up and it falls apart. All right, this is moving really well on the oblong. I'm gonna grab another piece, make sure to wipe it off, any clay. and make sure this piece is going through this oblong piece really smooth. It is going on through there. I'm going to put my tubes on it. The tubes, you know, the holes are really large on the tube. So you know those not closing up. Just go ahead and add those. And I'm gonna see if I'm able to add the short tubes. Also, when you are, I think that's enough on that actual piece. When you are firing greenware, or yes, actually, you know, you can, these pieces can touch because they're not gonna stick as long as it's not wet. So I could put these a little closer, but just for safety, I'm gonna make sure they are apart. And I wanna go ahead and, this is my last wire. So I just wanna make sure thing is sliding on good there. And I'm going to add probably the triangular tab. Let's see if I can add one more. I think I can. I'm gonna add the square tab, the tabular square, which is good. I gotta push all that a little closer together. Or what I can do is let this thing out. Just open it up a bit. And so what I'm gonna do, since I've opened it up, is add one more bead to each piece. And that way it'll have all my beads on there. With the tab, I'm gonna go ahead and add this circle. It fits really well. Meaning like it's running on there smoothly. And I don't have to be so perfect because I have to do the same thing again once I get it in the kiln. And I'm gonna add a square bicone to this one. This one is a little tight, but as soon as I burst through the edge, it was just a piece of clay stuck in there. It really went through well. All right, I can open this up just a bit. And then I'm going to take this one off, add one more bead to it. I'm gonna add the tassel to that. I should have did the tassel with the hole going to the side as well. You can make the tassels with the hole going to the side so it can be up and down rather than going to the side like that. I'm gonna turn this tree around. And add the last beads. So y'all see the amount of beads I have here that can make, it could probably make a nice piece of jewelry.
Mhm. Yes.
Just on one, you know, from one demo. Going through that particular piece. Now that piece is a little tight.
Mhm.
So I don't know about the shrinkage on that one. I'm moving these tusks out of the way. Opening those up. Free yourself, Tusk. All right, and the last one, I'm going to move my circular beads over, my ball, my nuggets, and my barrel over. And add the cone and the, actually I need to add something to the top. That's good. And I want to get the one with the tusk and add something to it because that's the last one, which is going to be my cone. All right. And so remember our curved pieces, we want to add them back to the bead tree that it was on originally. That's good. I just want to smooth out a little bit of where that thing had busted earlier. And that's good.
Okay,
All
That
right.
was a really nice demonstration, Kim.
yeah, very nice.
And thanks to Miss Lady Jonetta Bushell for suggesting it. Totally different demo today. However, we will still get that demo done next class. So
Thank
are
you.
there any more suggestions or questions for this class today?
So next week, when you come back, you'll show those beads completely after they've come out of the kiln to show us what they look like.
No, ma'am. Okay,
Oh.
so this is actually wet clay, and you know it's gonna take 1 week for them to dry.
Oh, okay.
So it takes 1 week for pieces to completely dry. Although these may be dry in a couple of days, since it's Friday and I won't be back till Monday, I won't be able to check like.
Be back on Tuesday.
Oh, sorry. On Tuesday. Sorry. I might just mess around and come up here Monday. So anyway, I won't be able to check those like I normally would through the weekend. But since they're so small, the air would dry them out faster than a week. But I just go ahead and let pieces dry for a week just to make sure they're completely dry on the inside and everything. And something that would be like a bust, like Mr. Van Dyke's makes like a whole head, I would even actually let that dry 2 or 3 weeks. Because since it's such thick clay in the inside, it's closed or it has an opening, but since it's more of the closed area, there may be moisture inside. And especially if you use newspaper as a mold to make certain things, the newspaper might have moisture in it, and I want to make sure all of that dries. So sometimes, depending on how thick it is or heavy, I wait 2 to 3 weeks. And I have a question I want to ask Miss Gloria. Miss Gloria,
Yes, ma'am.
you completed a particular piece that was to me reminiscent of well, I don't want to say what it is because I'll just wait till you actually show it in class. But anyway, I think it's your Black History piece. I just wanted to say, is that thing hollow or solid all the way through?
Hollow.
Oh, it is hollow?
Yes.
Okay, good job. So I will be firing that soon. You know, that's a little thick. So that's why I wanted to let that dry a little bit more so that it does not bust in the kiln. And also, Ms. Bushell, I did see your email about the beads and everything. And that's why I made sure to make those tubular beads. However, I'm going to email you back and let you know what supplies you need.
All right. Thank you, Kim. I appreciate that.
Okay.
You're such a sweetheart.
Thank you.
Miss Bushell, I'd like to say something to you, if Kim don't mind.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
You know, I've been in 2, 3 classes with you, and you are such a joy. I really enjoy being in the class with you. You make things just so light and enjoyable, and you and I get to laughing sometime about our artwork, and it's just so much fun, and I just really enjoy you.
Well, thank you so much, Miss Bell. I always look forward to see you, and I'll be looking for Miss Lattimore. You all are such
Exactly.
I enjoy being with you all too, and everybody really. I just enjoy this, and Kim is such a godsend, you know. And
I tell you,
folks over there at the Darnell Center. So I really enjoy.
You.
I really do enjoy it.
Thank y'all so
life
much.
Is so much fun. Look, life is so much fun, and life is so good. I can't help but be happy.
Amen.
I tell people every day is a good day.
Yes, it is. It is. Especially when you breathe it.
That's right.
Oh, yes.
I want to ask Miss Carrie Brown Willis a question. You have to unmute yourself, love.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
Miss
right.
Carrie.
Yes.
So for some reason, I'm just a little bit forgetful and confused, but I swear, I think I talked to you and you said that you was not able to attend, especially after you were making all them noises. when I said I was gonna be singing for the Juneteenth celebration, you was like,
No, you didn't talk to me. That was not
we
me.
didn't, no, I'm saying in class. Remember, I was telling y'all I was gonna be singing for the next program.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
And you was, but then I
yeah.
thought I called you to say, did you actually see the program? You said you was not able to.
No, I wasn't. I would have to go
Yeah,
doctor's
that's how I was
appointment.
saying we talked. So that's what I was gonna ask you. I kind of forgot that we actually talked, but then I was I was like, did I talk to Miss Kara? So I was gonna say, did you actually see the performance when I sang?
No, and I tried to do it while I was at the doctor and my phone would not allow it.
Why you laughing, Miss Boucher?
No, I missed the Juneteenth too, because I had a previous engagement. Yeah, I'm sorry that I missed that. Hopefully I'll be able to see it on YouTube.
Okay,
Me
the
too.
problem is, you know how sometimes as an independent person, I can go on YouTube and sing a song by Beyonce. You see people singing people's song all the time.
Right.
Mhm.
However, there's something going on with having a Zoom account with the Fulton County, the government. It's because it's a government entity, they have to stick to certain rules for liability. And for whatever reason, we're not able to post videos like that as of yet, due to the fact like they're gonna post the Juneteenth celebration with an omission. It's gonna omit my singing portion.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
Because it has copyright infringements due to the fact of singing Beyonce's song, due to the fact that I'm doing it under the county's header. So I'll just ask other people in the class. I don't want to wreck nobody's brain, but for our next informational class, which will be next Thursday, I'll ask everybody in the pottery class if they wanted to see that particular performance, and I'll show you all in class.
I do.
Oh, that's good.
I already
that'd
know
be
I
nice.
want to see it.
Kim, I need to tell Miss Gloria something
Go
also.
for it. Y'all feel free. This part of y'all, when
Miss
y'all
Gloria.
socialize in class, y'all can socialize in this particular thing too. Go ahead.
Okay.
Jamal had called me about an art show that that Fulton County is doing.
Hold on,
and
hold
he
on, hold
would
on,
have-
hold on. I'm so sorry, Miss Carrie. So I just want to end class, but you all stay on. So thank you, because I don't know what you talk about. It could be kind of personal. We're still recording. But anyway, we had such a great class making these beads. Thank you, Miss
Such a great class.
Michelle and everybody else for joining. My name is Kimberlie Wright. I will see you all next week for hand-built pottery. Have a wonderful and blessed day. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
have a good weekend and a good holiday.
Hold on one